I know I have like such awesome, you know, transitions from not being here to all of a sudden being here and in your face. So please let me know how the audio is, if my voice is just like thunderous and horrible. And then once I start the video, let me know how the audio is there as well. Hello, everybody who's here with us. Katrina, I did not say hello to you yet. You came in when I was getting ready to start broadcasting. And if I missed anybody else, give me a shout in the chat room. We have Shadi and Zainab and Nasa and Eileen and Gwen and Deb. And if I missed you, yell at me. If you don't have video at some point, just hit refresh. Hang on, I gotta tell somebody that. Okay, so today we're going to do my part of the collaboration that I did with Felix last week. And man, we got some really great feedback. It was a really well-received collaboration, and that's super exciting. I was a little nervous, of course, you know. He's an incredible artist and, you know, kind of a new friend, a new collaborator, and so, you know, you want to make a good impression and hope that your audience likes them so that they don't hate you, and you guys all seem to really like him. I know that I did hear some people say that they felt like he didn't explain very well on the stars in the background or on the sky in the background. But keep in mind that, you know, he's been making these little video clips for a long time, but he hasn't been like teaching videos for very long. And there's a learning curve there as well, just like you guys with learning how to paint. There's a little bit of a learning curve there. And so as you keep giving him your feedback, you know, always very positively and nicely, you know, don't attack and say horrible things, not that any of you guys would. But as you keep asking questions, you know, he'll learn what it is that you guys want and need and start kind of fine-tuning his process. And, you know, that's the same thing that I did and that I'm still doing. So that's kind of an ongoing thing. So just a little bit of patience there. And I think he's a phenomenal artist, super nice guy. And I think that ultimately he's gonna do some really great things, and I'm excited to see that. And he and I are actually talking about doing another collaboration soon. So I don't know when exactly, excuse me, but soon. So it's winter, and those of you who are at the retreat, you know how dry it is here. Winter, I feel like, is even drier. And so my throat gets super, super dry, worse than, you know, in the summer or in the fall. And I've been sneezing a ton lately. I'm fine, I'm not sick, I don't have a cold. But just from the dry air, it makes me sneeze a lot. So if I'm gonna try and keep the throat clearing to a minimum, and the sniffling, if I start sniffling a lot, it's because there's a sneeze fighting me. They like to fight me for about 20 minutes, and then maybe I'll sneeze, maybe I won't. But so that's that. Remember to put your questions in all caps. If I don't get to you, if I forget you, then post it again. And that's that. I do have an image for the video that we're gonna do next. I am still working on the editing. I actually painted the video over 2 days, and it's not a difficult painting. It's actually, I think it's probably gonna be fairly simple. But it gets, you know, dark here early during the winter, and the color of the light changes. Since I have skylights and lots of windows, the natural light, if I don't get it done before the sun starts to go down, then everything changes, the way everything looks changes. So at one point I had to stop, I had brushes I had to ship, and then I finished the rest the next day. So I am still editing. I hope to get it to you guys tonight, but I don't think that's gonna happen. It's probably gonna be tomorrow morning. So, but I will show you what we're gonna do in a little bit. Okay, just one other quick housekeeping thing. If you're not asking me a question, please don't type in caps. Because when I go to the chat room to look for questions, If I see caps, I might read something that you're not aiming at me, and then that would be confusing or embarrassing or whatever. So yeah, don't type in caps if you're not asking me a question, and type in caps if you are asking me a question. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Remember to yell at me if my audio levels are not good. Once I get the video going, let's see, where do I want to go? Let's go top right. Up there. Right, oop, right there. It's like mirror reverse from what I see. Excuse me. And God, I feel like I haven't done this in forever. I'm like, I don't even know how to play my own video. Okay, here we go.
Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is decide how high up I want
let me know how that audio
be.
is.
Now I don't want to bring it up so high that I lose all of this beautiful bright light that Felix put in the sky back here. But I for sure have some room to work. And I feel like I can bring the ground
nervous to paint on this canvas.
This part here, but I'll keep all of that.
When I very first started, I was shaking because that sounds stupid, but when I'm painting on my own canvas, if I mess up, I can just start over. But if I messed up his canvas, I'd be like, hey Felix, so I suck as an artist, can you paint it again and send it to me again? And that would be bad.
So then I just kind of squeeze
okay,
it on
good.
paper towel.
Glad the audio's good.
Like that to get the majority.
Hello, Kathy and Bonnie.
Now I'm going to mix up a green color with my cadmium yellow medium and Mars black. So I'm going to pull a bit of the yellow over and mix it in until I have a nice dark green. I want it to.
I was a little nervous to do this painting for you guys anyway, because I kind of have like a knee-jerk reaction to green.
Just grab the tiniest speck of
whenever
water.
I do a painting that has
a little bit too much,
you know,
now instead of just drawing
a noticeable amount of green in it, people are like, "Ew, it's too green."
See, that gives me a little bit
they
of a
hate it.
look
so I'm always really shy about using green now.
All the way over. Flip a brush over every once in a while when it starts to.
And the other colors I'm really shy about using are the primary colors that I used in next week's video, which I'll show you shortly. Oh, also, I am fully set up for demos today, guys. So please give me all of your questions. If you want demos on anything here, please let me know and we will do it.
And see how my brush is laying flat. I'm not wiping it, I'm just tapping it.
Katrina says, what colors are you supposed to do grasses and trees in? I know, right? I mean, you can only do fall trees for so long. Gwen is interested in the mop brush technique that Felix did. I know, wasn't that, it was like magic watching him do that. And it was intimidating. I was looking at that going,
just a little bit, pulling in just a little more yellow.
I can't mop. I know that I would try it and I'd be like...
Notice that it's substantially lighter than that previous color. So I'm going to go ahead and use the full
But
pressure
man,
to lay that
he
down.
did make that mop look so easy. I did see some people asking him or saying, you know, I went to Michael's, I can't find a brush like that. He said in that video, it's a makeup brush. So, you know, just go to the dollar store and get a big poofy makeup brush.
Flip my brush over and keep going.
Oh, and then when I had to paint over the grass here in just a minute, I was like, it's over. I've destroyed it. I can't bring it back. I suck. I'm horrible. And then I brought it back and I was like, okay, well, I'm not very professional, but I saved it.
In the opposite corner over here, I am going to keep it just a little bit darker.
Nisa said that using the mop brush is way different with acrylic paint than it is with oil. I imagine, I think for me with oil paint, a mop brush would be fairly easy. Just by the nature of oil, you know, you can let oil be kind of dry texture and get that smooth blend, but acrylic, you really can't.
Are darker.
If it gets that dry texture, it's dry and it's not moving.
Toward the lighter areas. So that's exactly why I'm going a bit darker on the edges. All right, I didn't clean off my brush. Let's pull some more yellow into there. Get a substantially lighter color. Maybe I'll.
But I think that if the mop brush is something that looks really interesting to you guys, don't try it once and be like,
now I'm going to take the tip of my brush and
I can't do that. You know, it's everything else is practice. You know, I doubt that the first time Felix picked up a mop brush, he was like, wow, that's incredible.
My tree
you know,
off to the left.
He practiced it,
brightest part
so you
here.
would need to
Overlapping
practice it
a little
too.
bit, probably,
Oh,
but
thank
not
you,
smack
Gwen.
onto it.
She said I rocked
So
this painting.
knowing where I want my tree,
I'm pretty proud of the way
I'm
it
gonna
ended
highlight
up.
my grass in that area because I want it to seem
Bonnie
like we
says I
have
can't
a
move my arms
bright
that
light
fast with the mop brush to
that's
blend.
about ground level
That's kind of what I was
shining
thinking.
at the tree
I was like,
and up into it a little bit.
I don't think my paint would stay wet long enough for that.
You know, I think I'm actually going to do the grass a little bit different. So
Oh, here's my error
we're
moment.
kind of starting over on the grass. So I've got my dark color. And I'm going to do my
110%
blotting
professional.
again. Just really quickly. Darker down here in this corner, so I just added a little bit more black.
Gretchen said that she had trouble with the mop
I
brush.
just
Is
don't
there an
feel like I'm
alternate
ready
method?
for
She
the
ended up using a
texture
paper
here
towel.
just
Absolutely,
yet.
use a paper towel. You could use my cloud brushes. You could use a 1-inch flat if you're
Light
really
pressure to
adept
blend
at
it
using your
together.
pressure to help you lay paint down and blend it, you know, with
And
that
this
light
adds a little
pressure.
bit of
I
texture
feel
on
like
its
you
own
could get
as
something
well.
very, very similar. So it's all what you're used to. There's a million ways to do everything. And of
Because
course,
what I
each
want to
technique is
do
going to
is
look a
just give
little
my
bit different,
underpainting of the
but
grass
I don't think that that's a
bit more
problem.
of a
I don't
gradient.
think there's anything wrong with it
and
looking
then
a little
leave the
different.
texture of the grasses for later. I told you I'm nervous to paint on somebody else's canvas. So because I'm nervous about it, I need to make sure that I sabotage myself.
What am I
Every
drinking? It's my
So again, just lighter and
multi-green
lighter tapping
kombucha.
into this
It's got all
darker
this,
area.
oh, I mixed it up. It's got a bunch of green sludge
So
in the
that I get
bottom.
a bit of a blend.
It's really gross looking, but I think it's good. All the green stuff, it's got blue-green
Using
algae,
a decent amount of paint.
spirulina,
There's a little bit of texture there. but I'm
chlorella.
not using like gobs of paint.
So I feel like what are those whales that go and they eat like the plankton on the surface of the ocean? I don't know why I feel like a whale eating
Much
plankton
better.
when I drink this, but
Feeling much happier with this now.
this kind of tastes like sweet grass, which I know
Still
sounds
have a
gross,
hint of that dark
but it's good.
showing underneath, and that's okay because
Yeah, I
you
do
get
drink it a
lots
lot, Zainab. In fact,
of- lots of little reflective surfaces in grass and opportunities
the
for shadows.
last live we did, was it
So
the
you don't
watercolor?
want just a flat, pure
was it-
green. I like the little bits in there. Okay,
Yeah,
now
it
we
was
can
a
start
watercolor.
working on our tree.
I
I'm
was
just gonna
drinking
paint
this
the
exact
trunk
same
in
bottle.
black first.
I don't
because
usually
we're gonna
finish
end up
one in
painting
one
over a
sitting.
little
I'll
bit
drink
of it,
like
so I'm
half
not
of
gonna
it
leave
at a
out
time.
highlights until we're closer to the end. I'm going to use my number 6 round brush. I wet it in my jar, and I'm going to pick up some black.
It's supposed to be super healthy.
Now I want to make sure that
I
I've
drink
got
a lot of
room
kombucha.
for my tree to have a shadow. So I'm not going to plop it, right here on the horizon. I'm going to bring it down about halfway into the shape that I have for the grass, and again, just off of this brighter area.
Eileen said, I'm sure I'll
So
pronounce it
right
wrong.
About here.
Baleen
I'm
whales?
just gonna kind of loosely
Baleen whales?
bring it up,
Yeah.
kind of define the
That's me when I drink
shape
that.
and the direction of the tree before
Scooping
I worry
up all
about
the plankton.
size and everything. We've got a little branch that's kind of coming up there.
And you guys, you have no idea. Looking at his canvas in person, like when you look at it here, you're like,
From there, and
it's
as I
purple
come
faded
down,
to
I'm slowly
pink,
gonna
and then there's
apply
some
more
stars
pressure,
on
and I
it.
can even twist
But like
my
in
brush a bit.
person, there's so much
Can help
dimension
give
in
me
there
a
because he
regular
added so many
shape to my
stars
trunk.
and at various transparencies. And then I think I only watched his video once,
Kind
so
of
I
a
can't
mini
remember, but I
branch from
think
the
he
trunk
mopped
up this way.
some color after some of the stars were done, if I'm not
These branches are
mistaken.
going to be pretty
But
simple, and I'm
this
not going to
canvas
add
has
all
so
of
much
the
depth
branches that
to
I want
it.
in my tree just yet.
Baleen.
I can go back and add more later. Again, flattening out my brush and
Like
kind of
Eileen.
pull it off to the side there a bit. Not worried
Nasa
about
would
that
scoop
green
up
that's going
wine.
in there, 'cause again,
I think
this
we've
is
all
just
been
the
there.
underpainting for the tree.
Myself included. Welcome, Nadine.
Twist that brush.
Eileen
a
says,
little.
I'd like to know if anyone did individual stars by
So you get
hand.
little bumps like that.
I
without
have a
having to work for 'em
friend
too
who
hard.
does some incredible, she does wood burning and painting. And she's tossed around the idea of starting a YouTube channel. I'm trying to get her to do it. But I watched, she did a little snip on Instagram one time where she was
Off of the
doing
trunk.
all of these little stars one by one with a teeny
Just
tiny
looking for
little
basic
liner brush. And I
supports
was like, girlfriend,
right
you're
now.
psycho. But that looks amazing.
Just what's going to be holding up the bulk of the tree branches and leaves.
Are you guys seeing lagging, or is it just me? If it's just me, we're good.
Let's give it a little angle right there. I like angles in trees. I really feel like this is about all the branches that I'm going to do for now. All right, back to my natural bristle brush.
Okay, good.
Now that
No
we have
lag
the
for you
trunk in
guys.
there, let's add the shadow behind it. So I'm going to mix up a color pretty close to this, the darkest color.
And
that
then of course
in
I have
here.
Mr.
So there's a
Moon
little
hair.
bit of
Like
yellow.
it always it doesn't like
black,
stick
just a
right
very
here,
dark
right? Or else I
green.
don't feel it. I only feel it when it's like right
Spiral
here.
my brush so the bristles
or
can
in my
break apart
eyelash.
a little bit.
And it's
And don't worry about
always all
overlapping
over
the
my
tree. I'm
face.
just going to go right into my tree and with the tip of my brush.
Thank
and
you,
kind of
Zainab.
scrape
She
up.
said the shadows were amazing on the tree. I was really
Creating
happy
a
with it. I
shadow.
was super nervous about it, but I was ultimately very happy with it.
We can even take that just a hint darker. Just a little bit.
I'm sure that when I started putting that
And we'll worry
shadow
about
on
the rest of
behind the
grass
tree there,
Once we've
I'm sure there was at least one of you who was like, ugh.
So I cleaned off my flat brush and
What's
I'm
with
just
that
drying it
dark,
on a paper towel.
fuzzy
We're gonna
patch?
start doing our foliage. in
You
our
can
tree.
admit it.
So I'm
If
really
you
just
were
gonna
like,
pick up
what?
that.
When I did that, tell me. I like things like that.
And again, spiral it out so those bristles break apart. Now, what I don't want you to do here is a couple of things. First, I don't want you to stab over and over and over in the
Thank you,
same spot.
Nisa.
You're
Just
gonna
not
get
on
a
that
big
one
puff
part
ball.
that I had to
Second,
paint
I don't want
over.
you to just kind of stab
That was
anywhere
horrible.
and just get this random spread out.
Nobody
thing.
questioned me when I
want you
did
to
that
try and work on it
shadow
in sections.
behind the tree.
So, for example, we'll
Even
say
I did it,
this
and I knew
little
what I was
branch here
doing. I did
has
that, and I was like,
some leaves
ooh.
on it. I'm just touching with the tip of my brush, just like that. So it's got some little leaves on it like that. We'll kind of bring that down a bit. Maybe up here a little. Flip your brush over every once in a while just to change.
Did
the shape that
did
it's
anybody have a
making.
hard time with this? Is
Go
this
about like that?
was this pretty much? I mean,
Over
self-explanatory.
here, we'll do the same type
Does
of
anybody
thing.
feel like they
Bring it down a
struggled with
bit.
this part of the tree?
And over here.
Deb kind of
Brush
likes the
over.
bare tree. I do have a thing for bare trees.
Can bring it up.
Yes, Eileen. Eileen said it reminds us that stuff can be changed. And good, because stuff can always be changed.
Don't forget to break up those bristles so you don't get this hard line in there. But see, I'm very lightly
Did
touching,
anybody
just
use
kind of going like that? not
anything
going like that.
besides the natural hair bristle brush? Did anybody use something different?
Bring it down that side a bit.
Gwen never questions me. Come on,
It
Gwen.
doesn't have to
Even
be
I
contained to the
question me.
branches.
That can't be
I'm
true.
starting with that, but then I'll just kind of fill it in
Eileen
where
said
feel
I
like
still had
need
too
some
much
more.
paint no matter how little I picked up. Okay, let's pause for a minute and talk about that, okay? Excuse me. All right, let's jump down to my camera. And we're gonna talk about how to pick up the paint, what to do if you get too much of it. This is not an advertisement for CamLink, and it's in my way. Okay, so I'm gonna put out, oh, here's a hint. This is the plate that I used in the painting that I'm gonna show you later. So these are the colors of next week's painting. So there's some black. And I can't see you guys just yet, so bear with me for a minute and I'll jump over and get your questions. Feel free to throw them in there as you have them. Okay, so my brush, and it's just dry. So when you're gonna do something like this part of the paint is very, very thin, right? I'm not gonna go into the blob. And I hope you guys aren't seeing lagging on my camera. Are you seeing lagging on my camera? Hang on. Bear with me for a second. Okay, let's see if that's better. Nope, it's not. Okay, let's just deal with it. So I'm gonna go into the part where there's not a lot of paint. I'm not putting pressure on my brush. Let's see. Can you see that? My brush isn't bending. I'm just touching the bristles into it. Flip it over. That's really how I'm gonna load it up to start. There's not a lot of paint on here, but if I'm concerned that that's too much, I probably need a little bit more than that. So I'm just gonna do it again real quick. And this is heavy body paint. If I'm concerned that there's too much paint here, then I'm just gonna come to a clean part of my palette, tap it a couple of times. That's it. And then I can come over to my palette or my canvas and start tapping. But again, it's light pressure. And I don't have very much paint on there. So let's see if I can get an angle you can see. See? I'm not bending. I'm not doing that. I'm not, you know, smashing it. That's how you get that, no matter how little paint you have on there. So I'm gonna wet my brush just a little bit because this heavy body paint is kind of hard to load up for this. So now I'm just gonna kind of touch into the paint, tap it off. Then I can come over and with that super light pressure, just touching. That's how you do that, okay? So don't struggle, don't get too much paint and just think, oh, I don't know how to do it. I just end up with, whoa, hello. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. Don't go into it and just think, well, I just get too much paint. Figure out why, you know, is it that you're getting too much? Is it you're not tapping it off afterwards? Is it maybe that you're putting too much pressure on the brush? So kind of focus on that. Think about what it is that's causing that and then work on that. Let's see. Zeynep uses a sponge sometimes, and that's perfectly acceptable. I don't use sponges because they gross me out. I know that's weird. And okay, Eileen said that she thinks that it is more the amount of pressure that she was using. Yeah, there's no reason to mush it. If you pay attention, I want you to really pay attention here to how much pressure I'm putting on this brush. In fact, I'm gonna rewind it a little bit and watch right here where I show you on the plate exactly what I'm doing. Oh, I don't know if I went past it or not. Okay, we're just gonna start there. Watch with the little check mark and the X, watch what my brush is doing during each.
Brush over. And bring it up. Don't forget to break up those bristles so you don't get this hard
See,
line
it's
in
just
there.
a touch. I know I'm
See,
going
very
quickly,
light
but I'm
touching.
not
Just
punching.
kind of going
See?
like that. I'm not doing
Tap,
like that.
not just a tap, not a
Bring it down that side a bit.
Nice likes the check marks and X's. You know, I almost didn't put those in there because I usually don't. But I thought, I wonder
to the branches.
if somebody
I'm starting
had
with
like
that,
a
but then I'll just
hearing
kind of fill it in where I feel
problem
like I need some more.
and couldn't really hear what I was saying or didn't understand English, and they saw me just stab the plate a couple times, if they'd be like, what does that mean? So I thought maybe if I put a check mark and an X, they would understand. Do it like this, not like this.
A little bit of a piece here.
So I'll probably use those more often.
If your paint starts to run out and your black isn't as heavy as you want, again, don't stab it.
Oh, Shadi likes the new logo. Thank
get more
you.
paint.
Yeah, I've been working on kind of spreading it throughout. I updated my banner photo on YouTube. I updated my logo on my website. I'm redoing all my thumbnails.
I think that's good.
So
okay, now
yeah.
I'm just going to take my
Kind of
brush
sticking
as
them in my
it is,
videos here and
then I'm
there.
gonna go into my yellow, just pull a little bit out and kind of stomp in it lightly. So see, there's just a little bit of yellow right on the tip of my brush. If you get too much,
my tree kind of looks like a box right there.
Now we want to do this very lightly,
We'll fix
and
it.
remember that our light
See,
source
it's
is
very
coming
square.
kind of from ground level up. So we're really going to be focusing on the bottom edge of the tree. We're not going to be adding.
Did anybody have a difficult time with the highlights, kind of knowing where
to right here at the
apply
edge
them?
And just lightly touch. And as
good, Deb. That's excellent feedback. Thank you. She said that the checks help her refocus what she's doing, make her stop and evaluate if she needs to correct something.
Pretty lightly right now.
Good.
You can go back and add more.
I'll make sure I continue doing that.
You can take that yellow off of your tree shape. It doesn't have to be confined into the dark area. And kind of remember where those shapes were that you made. Don't, again, just go scattering it anywhere. Make sure that you're looking at it and say, I remember this was a shape. So that shape can get some of this yellow highlight. Again, just kind of starting at the bottom edge of that shape and then lightly.
That really looks like I'm drinking black water, doesn't it?
Changes the pattern that's coming out.
I just saw it in the video and I'm like, ew. I promise it's green, it's not black.
And I want to remember that because my light source is kind of coming from over here, this side of the tree may not have much highlight at all.
Katrina said I had to do a couple layers of this. I really think I'm going to get some heavy body paints. You know, Katrina, at least in the reds and yellows, I highly recommend the cadmium colors.
Right here.
In fact, next week's painting, I definitely recommend the heavy body paints in at least the warm colors that we're going to use.
Lightly touching.
Gwen says, what did Felix say about the final painting, and is there a winner yet? He loved it. He said he did anyway. I hope he really did. We haven't chosen a winner yet. He's waiting on me. I have to compile some information, but I have been so busy trying to get this week's video put together. So I'm going to go through and do that, get him that information as soon as we're done here.
Don't look at an area and say, uh-oh, I need more highlight right there. Stand back and look at it before you decide that. See very little of that color over here. In some areas like this,
Lisa, don't worry about it. You're perfectly fine.
On the other side of the tree, facing away from us.
Nadine said I put in highlights and didn't care for them and put more black and wound up with a full tree.
The smallest hint of it.
Full trees are great. Full trees need love too.
And then just here and there throughout the tree.
Yeah, the basics really are quite transparent.
Up here, it's just going to seem very flat.
Sometimes that might be exactly what you want. You know, I think it's good to have, to at least know the difference between the two so that you can make that decision. Like for next week's painting, I would not have even attempted it had I only had the basics in the red, orange, and yellow.
Too much. You know, if you put some of
the heavy body just made it so much easier.
Bright, just grab a little bit more.
It's almost magical how opaque even yellow is. I mean, you just lay that right over black.
Okay, I stood back and looked at it,
and you can see it completely solid.
Now I'm going to pick up just a little bit more, and I'm really going to pop the highlights in the area that I feel like is taking the bulk of the light. So I'm going to start right there. Slowly bring it up into that tree shape.
Oh, we're about halfway through the video. Should we pause? Yeah, let's pause. Whoa, I disappeared. There I am. Do you guys want to see next week's painting now? Do you have any other questions that haven't been answered yet? I know there's a lag, so sometimes I'm just like sitting here not saying anything. It's because I'm waiting to see what you say, and okay, you guys want to see next week's painting. I hope you guys like it. I'm really happy with it, which usually means that nobody else is gonna like it. And there's a lot of red and yellow in it, and nobody likes it when I make red and yellow paintings, even if they say they're their favorite colors. Oh, there's a sneeze I was telling you about. When I do it, nobody likes it. So I'm sure nobody will like this video, but I like it, and that's what counts, right? Okay, so next week we are gonna do, ta-da! Strangely, I've been asked for a volcano several times over the last couple of weeks. So that's what we're gonna do. I finally took the hint that at least 3 people wanted a volcano. So I painted a volcano. So, but yeah, like I said, the red, yellow, white, those are just laid straight over top of the black. And there's even little parts in here where the yellow, because the yellow for the most part is laid over top of the orange and red, but there are some parts, let me see if I can blow this up a bit and show you. There's a couple of parts where the yellow is just laid straight on top of the black. So right here, I don't know if you, can you see my mouse? Anyway, right here, that little bit, that's just a tiny thread of pure cadmium yellow, no white, no nothing, over top of this dark color, and it shows up perfectly. So if you've been considering getting some heavy bodies, I would start with the cadmium colors, absolutely. Or the cadmium frees. I use the cadmium free paints on this one, the ones that Liquitex, sorry, I'm probably making you dizzy. The ones that Liquitex gave me for that sponsored video I did for them. And they're incredible, and I love them. Okay, so you guys like it? Yeah? Nobody's like, ugh, red and orange and yellow again. I hate it when she does red and orange and yellow. Okay, I see that you guys like it. We'll see if everybody actually likes it once I post it. Which colors in particular? So I'll post the video for you tomorrow, but I can show you the colors that I used right now. Like I said, this is the plate that I used for the video, and it's kind of, ugh, my colors are kind of weird. They don't look like the colors they actually are. So I used white, Diox purple, ultramarine, a little bit of black, not very much black. This is quinacridone. These are all in the heavy body, but I really only say that you probably should have heavy body for these colors. It doesn't matter for these ones. So this is the quinacridone, which is still pretty transparent and heavy body, but it's a little bit less transparent than basics. Cad red medium, cad orange, and cad yellow medium. And yeah, I'll have that posted to you guys probably. I really would like to get it to you tonight, but I don't see that happening. So I'll get it to you first thing in the morning. Well, hello, Vince. All right, are we ready to get back to our video? Yeah, let's do that. Hang on. Let me put myself up there. It's like the Brady Bunch, you know, that old Brady Bunch opening when I start opening all of those windows. Anyway, I'm like punchy or something today. I don't know. I actually like woke up at 5:30 in the morning, kind of in a panic, the way you do at 5:30 in the morning. You know, when like you're asleep and a thought occurs to you and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to address this issue right this minute. And you really don't, but now you're awake.
You have a smooth transition.
So, that happened to me this morning.
You shouldn't really have a spot where it's bright and then hard line and everything on the other side is dark. It should be a bit of a transition.
Hello, Carmen.
This
welcome.
Part of my tree is facing us, and because trees are relatively round, I feel like it would be jutting forward this way more, and I think it would be catching a little bit more of the light. So I'm going to put a bit more of this highlight there. Lightly taper out some of it over into here.
You guys are so questionless today.
Be very purposeful with where you put this, you know, not just, oh, there's a dark spot, let's blop it on there. Very, very purposeful. You know, if I start right here, then I might say, well, this branch kind of comes up like this. And just add a little bit of it toward the back there.
That flat spot on top of my tree is really bugging me. I'm so glad I fixed that later. Oh, right there, in fact. Man, that spot was
just kind of has a flat spot.
bugging me.
Have a flat spot.
Much better.
You can always come back and add a little
Blop. Katrina asked for a demo on the highlights of the trees.
Because I didn't clean the black off.
All right, let's see what we can do. Guys, I do want to know real quick before I get started, was the lag on this camera, was it pretty bad during the last demo part? Because I'm looking at my computer and I'm seeing this is just like lagging and catching up. But if everything looks fine to you, then I'm not going to worry about it. But when I looked at it, I'm like, this is bad. No, it wasn't lagging. Okay, good. Then I won't worry about it. If I see it lagging, then that's just me. So, Katrina, I want to know what specifically about the highlights was difficult for you. And while I give you time to answer me on that, I'll go ahead and get some of these started. But yeah, tell me specifically what was difficult for you. I'm just going to do a general shape. It's not going to be cute. It's not gonna look good. I'm painting at a weird angle. It's gonna look like a malformed palm tree, probably. We'll just say that that's... Why is my camera upside down still? God, man, I'm just not doing good today. You guys are so good for putting up with me. There we go. Okay, let's see. Oh, the trunk. Okay. The leaves, just getting it to not look like a straight line and distinguishing the shape. With the leaves, so if you're getting line when you're making the leaves, then a couple things. So your brush might be pressed really flat, like that. See that? And then when you touch, you get like a line, and then you keep going and it just keeps going like a line. That's why in the video I said to kind of spiral it, because that kind of poofs the bristles out a little bit, okay? And then every time you touch, just slightly change the position of your brush, just a little bit. And kind of focus on random. If you do like 2 spots that way, now change your brush and do 2 spots that way, you know, rather than just going dun 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 dun. All you're gonna get is a line. Is that basically what you were talking about with the line? And then the tree trunk. Okay, let's wait until we get to the tree trunk in the video, and then we'll stop and do a demo on that one, okay? Yeah, let's go back to this for just a few minutes, and we will come right back to that tree trunk.
Yellow there, so I'm getting a slight hint of a very dark green.
Good. I'm glad that that was helpful.
Okay, let's take a break from the foliage before I have a full-on panic attack, and we'll work on the tree trunk. So I'm going back to my number 6, and I'm going to get just black. Let's make some smaller branches in here. And they can go wherever you want them to go. They don't necessarily have to start at a previous branch like I did there. You can just kind of say there's one right there. And just kind of take it up wherever
Don't
you
get
have a blank spot that
frustrated.
you think would be good for a...
Frustration is good for nobody. If it's not working for you, then either practice it or stop doing it and do it some other way, you know, especially if it's a new technique, you know, like the background here. That's completely different than anything we've done together. And so if that's new to you, it's gonna take some practice. And if you feel like you don't have the patience to practice it until you can really master it, then move on and use another technique. We've done techniques that will, you know, you won't get the exact same look, of course, but everybody's painting is going to look different anyway. But we've done things many times in the past that will help
we can
you
start
be
working
able
on
to
our
achieve a
highlights.
similar background.
Still loaded up with
So
black, and I'm gonna
don't
come
get
into
frustrated.
my
Just move on to
unbleached
something
titanium
else.
and grab some. And remember where your light source is, and you want to keep your highlights on that side. So I'm not going to have highlights down this edge here. What I'm going to do is just kind of start somewhere.
All right.
Put a little bit of
Here we
pressure on
go.
the brush
Katrina.
and twist it a bit. As
Shout
I
at
come
me
down. That kind of
with
starts helping me get
the specific parts that you need help with, so I know exactly where to go with the demonstration, okay?
And some blobs of paint. My unbleached titanium, when I pulled it out of the drawer, the lid was loose, and so it started drying out.
Nisa, I'm so understanding because I know exactly what you're talking about, because we've all been there.
This is just a start. I know.
Oh, welcome, Deb. You didn't get a reminder?
Great highlights.
Dang it. I'm
on our tree
sorry.
branches, but I like to kind of build highlights.
I've heard that a few
Just get the little
times.
black, and you can streak over that part we just laid down.
Okay, so let's see. Let me pause it.
See.
Katrina said that the part she had a hard time with was the twisting and making it look like a tree and not a blob. Okay, so first of all, if it's looking like a blob, you're overworking it. If you go over it too many times, it's gonna start blending, it's gonna look like a blob. Second, I know that, and to me, like, I don't understand why, but I hear it from so many people that I know it's a thing, that twisting is hard for people. And like, for me, it's just like second nature. I don't understand why that's difficult for some people, but it's difficult for a lot of people. And we talk about that actually a little bit in the volcano next week. So the only thing I can think with twisting is that when you're twisting your brush, you're focused on what it's doing here. And I kind of think that a lot of people are twisting their brush, you know, you just kind of push it with your thumb. That's why I always show you guys, you just push it with your thumb, because I'm like, it's easy. You just push it with your thumb and it rolls. I don't think that's the issue, because of course, that's easy to do. What I think is the issue, this just hit me right now, is as people are twisting their brush, they're watching what's happening and they're trying to control it. They're trying to say, I want this line to go this way. And as they're twisting it, the line's trying to go this way. And they're like, no, I want you to go this way. When you're twisting the brush, when I'm twisting the brush, I'm doing it specifically because I don't want to have to decide where this line goes. Because if I have to decide where all of those lines go, they're all probably going to go the same way. They're all going to look exactly the same. But if I just say, okay, I'm going to move my arm generally in this direction, but however the line goes as I'm twisting it, I'm just going to let it go that way. So that's what I suspect is the issue. Another thing that I think is probably an issue people have with twisting is pressure. When I'm twisting, my brush is only usually touching, can you see that? About like that. I'm not putting full pressure. If I do that, it's gonna like, whoa, it's gonna splay out everywhere, and I'll show you that when we do the demo. It's just a little bit of pressure, that's it. And I don't care where the line goes. If the line all of a sudden goes off to the right, then that's the way the line goes. You know, but when you force it, you try and make it go a certain direction while you're also telling it, hey, go whichever way you want to go. It's going to fight you. And then you're going to go over it again and you're going to overwork it. So that was big, long diatribe, and I wasn't watching chat. So let me see if that helped, and then we will do a demonstration real quick. Let's see. Nisa said, I am right. Okay, good. Then that sounds like it probably helped. Nelson asked if we can start over from the beginning. Yes, Nelson, we can. As soon as we're done here, in about an hour, come back and hit play again, and I'll start all over for you. That is exactly what I do. I'm always watching the end of the brush. Stop watching the end of the brush. When you're twisting it, you're telling it, you're saying, hey, brush, you do whatever you want to do, bro. I'm good with it. That's what twisting is. So when you're also like, hey, brush, you go ahead and do whatever you want to do. But do it like this. You're going to have a really hard time. It's going to be really, really hard. Or twisting too fast. Yeah, it's a very slow twist. And I have seen people who were like, boom, like spinning the brush. I'm like, what is happening right now? So I am going to where I can't see chat. So throw your questions in there still, and I will get to them momentarily. Okay, let's do the twist, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna get me some black paint. Heavy body is probably not the best for these little demonstrations. I'm gonna just add a little too much water into it because I want it to last for a bit. Okay, twisting. I'm gonna try and hold my canvas up so that you can see what I'm doing here, okay? So, I'll move in so you can see my thumb, how it's rolling the brush. And this is really how I usually twist. See, I'm not like clenching on. It's resting on my middle finger and my thumb is pushing it. But I do this a lot, so don't feel like you have to. I'm just saying I'm not like this and trying to push it. Okay, so to twist, I'm gonna just lay my brush there. I'm gonna move my arm generally in this direction, but I have no idea how it's gonna go. Let's just start, and I'm rolling it one way, back the other way, back the other way, back the other way. See? Because I did not try to tell it where to go. I just kind of moved my hand in a very general direction, slowly twisted it one way or the other. So this was like, let's see, that went to the right, then I kind of stopped, and to the left. There wasn't much change. To the right, to the left, right. Yeah, that little bit right there was rolling it to the right, and down here to the left. So no pressure. Did you see how much pressure I had on there? See, not a lot of pressure. If you want it to be a little bit smoother, then you just kind of move your hand a little bit more as you go. You know, maybe move your hand a little bit faster. And by move your hand, I mean in the direction you want to go. So if I start here, I'm not going to roll it any faster. I'm still rolling it at the same speed, but see, my hand is moving a little bit faster. I get a bit of a smoother line. If I want it to be more gnarly and more jagged, then I'm going to move my hand very slow. I'm going to roll it at the same speed, but I'm not going to move my hand very much. So let me show you. So we'll start here, and I'm twisting it. See, same speed as I did on that first one, but I'm not moving my hand as far. So that was about as many rolls at the same speed as both this one and this one. So don't twist it fast. Just let it do what it's gonna do. That's it. Okay, let me see if that helped. That might have been really confusing. Too fast? Did I do it too fast? Oh, Katrina said she was doing it too fast. Okay. Okay. I think that was... Oh, you guys, I love it when I have revelations like that. Oh, and Nadine said I'm only rolling, excuse me, one way, not left and right. Yeah, I think you gotta go back and forth, you know. I mean, if you don't go back and forth, then at some point you can, that's it. You don't have any more. You can't keep twisting it. So, you know, twist it as far as you can one way, roll it back the other. Twist it back the other way, roll it back the other. And if you feel like you're getting too much of a, kind of like I did on that shorter one, then, you know, sometimes I'll wiggle it a little bit too. And that's just like a short roll that way, short roll that way. So it's just like a wiggle rather than a full roll. And you can kind of experiment with that. It depends on how gnarly I want something to look. Next week's painting, we'll get a lot of twisting, practice. And now that I know what it is that you guys are having issues with twisting, I can explain that better. So see, and this is what we were talking about with Felix earlier too. When you guys have an issue with something, it really doesn't help me at all if you're like, I couldn't do the twisting thing. And that's it. I'm like, why? I mean, because there's 1,000 reasons why that might not work for you. And I don't know how to explain it to you if I don't know why it's not working for you. And I know that sometimes we don't know why something isn't working for us. You might think you're doing it exactly the way I'm telling you to do it, but you're focusing on what the tip of the brush is doing while also telling it to do whatever it wants to do. So yeah, that is the number one thing I like about these viewing parties, is being able to kind of get those aha moments from you guys. You guys help me so much in these viewing parties. You guys probably help me more than I help you in these. But okay, I'm glad to know it's that you guys are focusing on the tip of the brush. Might be putting too much pressure. Some of us aren't rolling it back and forth. Good. Yeah, Mr. Moon he's been kind of quiet today. I'll see if I can coax him out. He's sleeping in my office right now, on my office chair. No, he's not interested right now. Okay. I made dragon eyes. Oh, sad, Deb. I'm so sorry about that. When did I make dragon eyes? I'm not even sure what dragon eyes are. Okay. Oh, I love demos, you guys. When you guys request demos and we have little breakthrough moments like these, oh, it makes me so happy. I wish we had done this before I did the volcano painting, because I would have focused on that, because I did a quick little twist talk, but again, I was just like, guys, you just push it with your thumb. That's how you do it. So I'll get that in the next video.
Right here.
And we're back.
Just like when we're highlighting everything, I always tell you, if you don't like it, what you've done with your highlights, just let it dry, paint it over with black, and do it again. I really like to twist.
Oh, and Katrina wants to see the highlights too. Okay, let's watch this for just a minute, and then
can kind of help
we'll do a quick demo on that too.
That you might not have noticed.
I'm gonna paint a super quick tree trunk on my canvas while you guys watch this for a minute.
Take a bit of this down.
Then we'll do a twisting highlight demonstration.
A little bit of extra water, or you could use matte medium if you like. Kind of smooth out.
Now hopefully you guys will love twisting.
I'm not overly worried about
twisting. What happened? This whole bit was a jerk for Katrina.
So much of that is going to be painted
I hear ya.
when we do our grass. See, now we're
starting. You know what else is a jerk? These
movement,
Blick canvas boards. Oh my gosh, the texture on them is so hard.
It's kind of poking out and add a bit of a highlight to it.
No matter how wet I make the paint,
right
you get the little white spots.
Right there that could catch a little light.
These canvases could use some sanding.
And likewise, you can say, oh, that looks like a recessed area. Grab a little bit of extra black, kind of come in here and really knock that part back into the tree.
Okay.
Just using the very tip of the brush.
So now I'm done with the twisting there. Let's go back to here. So here's my little sad excuse for a tree that I made. And I gotta get some unbleached titanium. Okay. Now, to do the highlights, my brush still has black on it. That is very important. You do not want to clean off your brush and grab your highlight color, because all you're going to do is draw a stripe of that color on the tree. Also, my tree is still wet, which it doesn't matter all that much, especially if you're not cleaning off your brush, because I still have the black on here. So I'm just going to make sure I've got a good amount of black on my brush. But I mean, it's not a ton. I kind of rolled it off. See how smooth my brush is? I'm going to come into my unbleached titanium. I'm really only picking it up on one side. You see there's some unbleached there, but as I turn it over, there's no unbleached there. That's going to help us because, right, as we roll from side to side, part of that is going to be on the canvas, part of it isn't. So I'll start up here. I'm going to start with my unbleached up so I don't just and deposit it all right there. So I'm going to put it right there, and then I'm doing my rolling. As it turns, it's depositing areas with more unbleached and areas of less, because I only have it on the one side of my brush. So I'll do that again. I'm going to start. Now the next time I start, I'm not going to start on that line, because if I go over that line again, it's just going to keep getting blended in, especially when I'm just starting the highlights. I'm just going to let them look stupid and stripy like that, because I know I can change it. All right, so I'm kind of rolling it that way, back the other way. Oh, my brush wants to go that way. Okay, I'll keep going that way. Oh, maybe back that way now. So there we have a couple little highlights. Let's just do one more. I haven't picked up any more black. I'm just picking up a little more of the unbleached. Again, starting up here, I'm going to roll it to the left, roll it back to the right, just like that. Now I've got a start. I can come back into my black, and I can say this looks like a stripe. I don't like that stripe, so I'm going to take that black over that edge, and now I've got a nice highlighted edge and another edge that's kind of sunk into the background. So one edge is hard and one edge isn't, and you can just kind of decide where you want to do that. I'm just taking that bit of black and dusting out bits of the highlight that I don't want. But if you worry about those looking like stripes as you're applying them, it's just going to turn it into a solid color. That's it. You know, I can even come back and maybe just roll a little bit more to kind of push that color around, since it's still wet, just right there. And you can just go back and forth, keep adding it as you want to. I know that looks just weird. I'm painting at a really bizarre angle. I can't even hardly see what I'm doing there. So, but yeah, I want to know if that was helpful, or if you're just like, thanks. So, so stupid stripey. Yes, they are. And but if you pay attention to mine when I first started on, they looked stupid stripey too. But I just let it go. I didn't care, because I knew that as I worked on it, things would change. If you work on making those look like these perfect highlights right off the bat, you're gonna lose them anyway. As you start adding other things, you might blend them out too much. So just lay it down, don't care what it looks like, and then come back and adjust it. Eileen says, how do we go from hit and miss to knowing how to make the tree trunk look like yours? Well, okay, first I'm gonna give you a little tidbit of information. I think that all art is hit and miss. For me it is anyway. Do you think every time I paint a tree it looks amazing? No. Look at that crap. I mean, I'm kind of giving you the excuse that it's because I can't see, and I really can't. And I'm really not putting a lot of attention into it. But I look at that and I'm like, okay, so that was an example, but if I were a better artist, that should still look amazing. I just think that and I'm not actually saying that, I'm just saying, I think that all artists hit and miss. I paint crappy trees too, you know, everybody does. You paint trees, you paint crappy trees every once in a while. But it's all about first you got to gain the muscle memory. You know, for whatever technique it is that you're using, your brain may know how to do it, but your hand is still kind of dumb. Your hand is like, I don't know, like this, right? So you got to get your hand and your brain working together, and your hand has to learn it and repeat it. Your brain learns it like that. Your hand takes a lot longer. So you got to gain that muscle memory. That's a big part of it. But then it's also about learning what you do and don't like. So here's an example. I'm gonna go full face because I'm probably gonna be talking for a while here. Have you ever been watching somebody paint, you know, me, anybody else, and watch them do something like a brush stroke, and you're like, you need to blend out that one spot. Take that spot's bugging me. Or they put down a blob of paint, you're like, oh, it was perfect until you did that. I don't like that. Or, you know, they use a color and you're like, I would have used this color. That's because from experience and you knowing what you like and the way that you paint and the kinds of decisions that you would make as you're painting, you're starting to apply those. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. So if any of you are like, no, I've never done that to you, and inside you're like, oh, I do that to her all the time. It's cool, I do it too. It's a thing, it's normal. I don't care if you do it to me. I hope that you do, because that means that you're applying the things that you learn. So to get back to Eileen's question, how do we go from hit and miss to knowing how to make the tree trunk look like mine? It's probably not gonna look like mine. It's gonna look like yours. Because as you gain that experience and you start applying those preferences and techniques that you accumulate and learn, you're going to create a tree that looks like yours. You use my techniques and look at my tree and attempt to create my tree as a starting point, but ultimately you don't want to paint like me. You don't want to paint like anybody else. Everybody, I've heard thousands of people ask just in the Facebook group, when will I find my own style? I feel like I don't have my own style. Well, you're not going to find your own style if your goal is to paint exactly like me. You're going to paint like me. And you don't want to paint like me. You want to paint like you. So the short answer, the TLDR answer, which is too late because you should just listen to that, it's practice. And not giving into frustration. Just remember, if you give into frustration, and by give in, I mean you're like, I can't do this, I'm just done, and you walk away from it, you just threw away an opportunity to continue learning and to maybe gain the knowledge and the experience that you need to perform that technique to a level that you're happy with. But I mean, it's okay to feel frustration. We all feel it. But so usually if I get frustrated, I'm like, okay, I am done. I have tried that. I don't know how many times. And if I do it again, I'm going to tear somebody's throat out first. So I kind of stop. I'm like, okay. And I try it again. A different way, maybe a different brush, maybe a completely different technique altogether. I think learning anything, and I know I'm rambling and I apologize, learning anything in painting boils down to patience and experience. And if you don't have patience, you will not gain the experience. You cannot learn anything in painting if you don't have both of those tools. So those are the two most important tools, patience and experience. The more you know. Okay, I know I was rambling and there's a ton of questions, so I'm gonna shut up for a second and scroll down. Gwen learned so much, yes. Is that what I do to all of your paintings? No, Nelson. I'm talking about when you're watching somebody else do it. I even do it when I watch myself. Like if I'm watching one of my videos and I'm like zoomed in close and I'm painting and I'm like, ew, paint over that part. Take that little line away. Or I'll put a daub of paint and I'm like, no, that spot looks so good. Why did you do that? It's just a normal thing that we do. And I do not pick your guys' paintings apart. I swear to you. Don't make me feel bad. That makes me feel bad, seriously. I know you guys are just kidding, but... What? Nasa, if I don't comment on your paintings, then you're not tagging me in them. Because I really only see in the group ones that I'm tagged in. There's so many posts in there, and my Facebook notifications, I get a couple hundred Facebook notifications every single day. And it's a nightmare to get through them. But a surefire way to get me to see your painting is to tag me in it. It's not enough to just say my name. If you don't tag me, I'm probably never gonna see it. And if you tag me, I comment on it. So, tag me. Eileen, don't tell Nelson I was talking about him for the first 20 minutes. I don't want him to know that. Good, Katrina. I'm glad that that was helpful. I know I'm super behind on these comments. Bye, Zainab. I'm sure you're gone already. And keep drinking that algae wisdom for days. That's right, son. Gwen's laughing about me ripping somebody's throat out. It's because she doesn't know me very well. Just kidding. It won't let you tag me? What platform are you using, Nasa? Because there's no setting that I can even turn on or off to allow somebody to tag me or not. I have no control over that. So if you're not able to tag me, then it has to do with whatever platform you're using for Facebook. Because yeah, I have no control over that. Okay, let's finish this painting. Nasa, go ahead and answer that, but I'm gonna get this started again and go.
And right here, maybe there's a little knot. So I'm gonna put a bit of black in there. Roll some of that off, a little bit more unbleached. We'll highlight around it. I like the way that part's looking. Let's just change it and see what we can do with it.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. So, Lynn, were you trying to tag me too and you couldn't?
Black, especially while that unbleached is wet, because then it'll streak into there and give us a hint of highlight in our darker areas. So we don't want it to be flat black. Just because it's not catching the light and is in shadow doesn't mean it's flat black. Clean the black off my brush, and I'm just going to get unbleached. There's still a little gray in my mixture there, and that's perfectly fine. I'm just going to pop a couple areas, and I think I am going to come back later with a titanium white and unbleached titanium white mixture. Just pop a couple more highlights.
I have fire in my blood. Oh my gosh, it is so foggy out today.
Being very specific.
It's never foggy here. It is crazy foggy today. I love it.
I really like to use the unbleached titanium and black for tree bark. Just gives us a really nice neutral gray. Now, because I kind of insinuated a knot right there, I'm going to get a tiny bit of black and just kind of push that into the tree a little bit more.
Oh, Shadi said that she sent us London's fog.
Let's
Thank
finish
you.
up our grass while
That's
we
so
are
generous.
here. So I'm going back to my natural bristle brush.
I know that
cleaned
a
off
lot of
right
people
on
hate
paper top
fog,
bit. Still a
and
little
I
damp.
love it.
And I'm going to
I
get
really do.
just a tiny speck of black, just because I don't want pure yellow. Kind of twirl it.
Freezing in New York, Carmen says.
Oh, and I'll pick up a little unbleached
It's
titanium
not-
while I'm at it.
It's not freezing here. I think it's
Nice pale
in the
green.
40s.
Just a little spot of water. Break up the end of that brush. Now we'll start at the base of our tree, just touching the tip of the brush to the canvas and flick over top of it. Don't be afraid. Go up over the bottom of your tree there. Up over your shadow.
Rainy days are the best. Nelson said that fog in Florida is muggy and awful. I bet,
taper
but that's
off
just because
as it moves
Florida's
this way.
always hot. Ugh.
Down toward the corner.
I like cold fog, not hot fog. I don't like hot. I hate hot weather.
Still letting that go over my horizon a bit.
I'm a miserable person when I'm hot and I can't cool off.
Let's keep that.
I'd
bright
much rather
color
be
going.
cold.
And again, I'm not trying to cover all of that underpainting color. It still shows. That's what's giving us some nice grassy texture. Let's pull this bright color over toward our light source. Let it taper off there at the bottom of the canvas. Let's go a hint darker. And I didn't pick any of the unbleached
Ooh,
stuff. It's still
68
in my
does sound
brush,
nice,
but it's
Cindy.
pretty much muted out by now.
Nelson asked if that's an old brush with really stiff bristles. Knowing Nelson, I can't tell if he's being sarcastic or not, but yes, it is. It's the same one that I just did the demonstration with. So, stiff
I'm
brush.
just going to start working slightly and slightly darker as I move this way.
I've been using this brush a lot lately, huh? I think I used it in the video before this,
Just kind of texturizing.
and I used
that
it in the
grass.
volcano.
Like we did when I jumped the gun in the first place and almost destroyed Felix's canvas like I've been so afraid I'm going to do. It's not so bad when I'm recording, my own paintings start to finish. 'Cause I
Some
know
of
if I
you
mess up,
were
not a big
late.
deal. I can just start over.
Nelson,
But I only have one shot with Felix's canvas.
and you missed next week's painting that I showed everybody. I'm gonna show you again in just a
Cleaned off
minute.
my brush.
So
I'm just going to get
I think
some
I'm
yellow.
almost done here, and then I'll show
I was
you
really
that, and we
careful
can
not to
talk.
pick up any of the green.
We can do more demos
Lay
if
it
you
there,
want.
pull
We
some
can
unbleached into
we
it.
can be done. Okay, he wasn't being
Nice
sarcastic.
bright
Yes,
color.
these.
Tap it off.
And
I'm
so
just
many
gonna
people
pop
are
a
like, I
few. I'm
can't
not gonna
find
fill in
those.
this area.
If you are
very
looking at
light.
like Michaels
Pop a
or
few
whatever,
super
where they
bright
have the
grasses.
super cheap brushes in the packs, you will find these brushes. Don't let Nelson see Eileen, but I love
Let it
Nelson,
overlap
even though
the
sometimes
shadow area
he's
just a little
sarcastic
bit.
to me, but then promises he wasn't, and then I
Create a bit
don't
more
really
drama and
know
make the
how to
shadow
take
seem
him.
darker.
But I have to show Nelson.
Take a bit back here. Okay, that's about exactly what I was hoping for. I'm gonna get some more yellow and just tap it into my brush. So I've still got a bit of that unbleached on there, but not a ton. Break up my bristles, and let's just pop a couple of highlights on our brightest part of the tree. We might be about done.
Lynn's asking, when you paint a scene over a background
I'm
and
not
you mess up
gonna
on the
add this
background, can you
color
fix it by
anywhere
covering
near.
the tree?
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
this is
I
a
mean,
section
it depends.
that I
If
want to really
if this
stand
were
out.
my background
So a little
and I
bit
messed up
right
on my
on there.
tree, to me it wouldn't be
About it.
worth trying to fix. I would probably just paint over it and start again. It really depends on what you're painting and how comfortable you are with, fixing it. It can't hurt to try, right? If your next option is to start over anyway, go ahead and try, and then you can start over if you need to. And there's no shame in starting over. There's nothing wrong with going, well, messed that one up, guess I'll start over. There's nothing wrong with that. You should never let that make you feel
all I'm gonna do is just really
like what you did was worthless, like you just wasted your time, like you're not learning. None of those things. As long as you continue, you're still learning, you're still doing well. So yeah, man, if you have to start over, just start over. There's no shame in it.
Brush strokes.
Oh, you guys saying such sweet things to me. I'm so glad you guys all like this painting. I was so scared, but you know, that I was just going to destroy his canvas, but ultimately I was so happy with how it turned out.
Almost just dusting some of them on.
And I think for our next collaboration, which we might
just take it back with
we might wait a couple weeks before we talk about it again, but we were talking about it last night. I think for our next collaboration, I'm going to paint the background and he's going to paint the element on it. So it'll be just a little bit different that way. Okay, so we're done. All right, so any other questions you guys have, throw them out there. It can be related to this painting. It can be related to something else. It can be whatever. You know, I'm here for you guys and I'm not in a hurry. You know, I'll stay for as long as you reasonably want me to. I'm still not ready for another 10-hour marathon, even though that was incredibly fun. I was thinking about that today and I was like, that was so much fun. I should do another one of those. So who knows, maybe we'll have another marathon like we did at Halloween. Yeah, see, Eileen says, I think we forget that you practice a ton before you record and we expect it perfect the first time. That's an excellent point. You know, even though I painted this on Felix's canvas, it doesn't mean I didn't practice that tree and everything, you know. I mean, I had to practice my technique, I had to practice my composition and my colors and everything, and I only put it on video when I'm comfortable with what it is I'm doing. So if you guys try it once and you're like, ugh, that's horrible, and then you stop, well, you still have a few to go. And if you nail it the first time, bravo. You are much better than me because I didn't nail it the first time. And the marathon rocked. Thanks, Gwen. I loved that marathon. Okay, so I'll show you next week's painting for those of you who missed it. And keep in mind that I'm always really nervous to show you guys paintings that have green in them. So like the one I did with Felix, because everybody hates green, even though they say they love green. Because when I put out a green video, nobody watches it, and he gets 1,000 thumbs down in like the first 10 seconds that it's published. People hate green. The other colors people hate, red, orange, and yellow. It doesn't matter how many people tell me they love red, orange, and yellow. The second I publish a video with red, orange, and yellow, 10,000 thumbs down immediately, and then nobody watches it again. So, yeah, so I'm a little nervous about next week's painting, but I don't care. I loved it. And I don't care that it's red, orange, and yellow. So there it is. All right, you guys look at it for a second. I'm gonna look over questions. Nelson asked, why did I choose Felix to collaborate with? Oh, I can't speak. Why did I choose Felix to collaborate with over other YouTube artists? Felix actually came to me. Felix contacted me. I'd never heard of him before, never seen him before, really loved his art, and I was like, heck yes, let's do it. So yeah, but I feel like I may do some more, you know, with other artists throughout the year, so. What else? Gwen says, I love red, orange, and yellow. Yeah, still, nobody will watch it. I'm not trying to sound all down. I'm just being realistic. It's red, orange, and yellow. It will get really terrible views. And that's okay, because I'm still happy with it. Cindy said she did a black and white volcano. Nice. Did you do lava? And did you do the lava in color? I didn't see that one. I would like to see that. Yeah, so Felix and I will be doing another collaboration fairly soon. No dates just yet. We have some questions about doing a tutorial on composition. I don't have a tutorial specifically on composition, and one of the reasons for that is composition is a massive subject. There is no quick, here's how you compose a painting. There's so much that goes into composition. I mean, we could probably, you know how much we've talked about color theory, right? And there's still so much more to talk about and all of that. I think that composition, we could probably talk about composition twice as long as we could talk about color theory. I do try to have little tidbits as far as the process that I go through in my mind when I'm trying to compose a painting. What painting was it? There was one specifically where I walked you through my whole composition process and kind of explained to you why something went this way and then why something went this way. Does anybody remember what painting that was? Let me go look at my channel real quick. I think I might know which one it is, but I have to see the image to make sure I know. In the meantime, if anybody knows which painting that was, I talked a lot about composition in that one. I want to say, yeah, it was the Stormy Retreat video. You know, that monochromatic black and white painting that we did, the chromatic black with the lightning and the little farmhouse with the yellow glow coming out of the windows. It was that one. So I think I basically always start by considering the rule of thirds just for an idea to get me started, and then, you know, throw rules out the window as I feel like they don't apply to what I'm doing. Or I think a lot of composition is stuff you can make up on the spot, but there are basic rules that are helpful to start with. So read about the rule of thirds. I've talked about it quite a bit. I know I talked about it recently too in another video. Hang on, let me look. I know there was a video in the last couple weeks where I kind of give you a rundown about what the rule of thirds was. And I've done it before too. I've done it several times. My gosh, my internet's going so slow. I can't think of what that would have been that I did the rule of thirds on recently. The raccoon? I might have done that on the raccoon. Anyway, yeah, I try to hit it whenever I can, but the rule of third, or the composition, is such a huge topic. It is a huge topic. Yeah, Nessie. Eileen says that I did talk about Nessie, or composition, a little bit in Nessie too. Yeah, and so that's kind of a micro composition talk. You know, the way I was saying, okay, she's facing this way, so I wouldn't put the boat here because they're going to look disconnected. The elements will be disconnected. That's not a good composition. You know, putting the boat over here also throws off the whole composition of everything, but putting the boat right here connects the elements to everything else, and that's part of composition as well. Mesa says, I have a hard time getting images to be the right size on my canvas. I think that that's something that's just going to come with practice. I really do. You know, when I first started painting, everything was kind of like squished and in the middle of the canvas because I didn't know how much space I was allowed to take up. And if something went off the edge, I was like, oh, you can't see my tree because like a leaf went off the edge. It comes with practice. I challenge you to, you know, some people have a problem. They make things too big, you know, or they feel like they make things too big. If that's you, then I challenge you to intentionally make things quite a bit smaller than you normally would. The paintings may not look any better. You may not be any happier with them, but that's going to start training your brain to not be afraid to go smaller. Likewise, if you're somebody who, like me, made this teeny little tree in the big middle of a gigantic canvas, I challenge you to fill that entire canvas with one tree. And that's going to help train your brain to work a little bit bigger. Maybe we can discuss composition in a little more detail in the watch parties instead of a single tutorial. Some reflection on how you came up with the composition when we have the absolutely, Nelson, that's great. That's a great idea. And I'm willing to run through that with you right now, actually, on this painting. Let me just get through the rest of the questions. I do talk a lot, Deb. Oh wait, I talk a lot about composition in the Scream tutorial. Do I? I don't remember that. Ooh, you did it in Diox and Yellow Ochre? I can't wait to see that. Eileen says I talked about composition a lot in the Golden Hour. Okay, I don't remember that either. Yeah, see, you guys know my videos better than I do. That's awesome. Yes. Okay, let's jump back over to here. So can you guys see my mouse? Tell me if you can see I don't think you can see my mouse moving, can you? I don't think you can see my mouse. Nope, you can't. Okay, anyway, so one of the issues I had that made me a little bit nervous about working on Felix's painting here was composition. That was something that I struggled with more than anything on this painting. And part of that is because the composition of his background is so different from the way I would compose a background. You know, how he starts down in this corner with the bright spot. I really wish you could see my mouse. Actually, let me see if I can do something. Please stand by. Hang tight, guys. Because I know that if I open an image and broadcast it different, you can see my mouse. And I want you to be able to see that so we can discuss. I'm still here. Window capture. Nope, that didn't work. Kind of. That's not actually what I'm looking for, but that's not working. I was trying to use a different image so that you could see my mouse, but anyway, this is kind of going out the window now. Yeah, you guys can see my cursor in part of it, but not in the part that matters. Okay, so his light source in the sky, right? The bright part that comes up from the left and swoops up toward the right, kind of looks like a spine. That was the main focal point of his sky. And I felt like if I put the tree on the right-hand side, it would create a weird triangle. In fact, you know what, let's do this, because you can't see what I'm talking about, and you might think you know what I'm talking about, but you're looking at something different. So I'm just gonna grab the canvas. Good thing I still have it, because we haven't picked the winner yet. Okay, so, ta-da! Now, oh, that is really hot. Sorry, guys. We're just having a catastrophe day. I apologize. Okay, so his bright spot here coming up, this is the main composition of his background. And so I didn't want to cover that up completely, because what's the point of putting it there if I'm just going to cover it up, right? That's kind of the focal point of the sky. So we don't want to cover it up. So I actually messed around, you know, trying to decide, did it work in another composition? Would the background work, you know, any of these directions? And I actually almost went with it like this and did it on its end. But then ultimately I just liked the original composition that he had. So I decided that I didn't want to put the tree on this side, because the top of the tree would come in contact with this. And if it came in contact with this, we would have this swoop to the ground, which would draw your eye this way, back up to the tree, and we'd have this weird triangle. And this section of the painting would be completely ignored. Because there'd be nothing interesting there. It's darker than everything else, and darker areas tend to repel the eye. So if you want somebody to really look at something bright in your painting, you have to have something dark. So if I left this dark corner just blank, then you'd get stuck in this triangle. And I felt like that was really awkward, and that would be really ugly and really boring. So, you know, I couldn't put it right in the middle, obviously, because an element, the main focus being right in the middle, is very rarely interesting. It can be. I'm not telling you never put your subject smack in the middle, because it can work. But that's mostly with like modern art that's going to be really square looking anyway. Things centered sometimes work, but not in a landscape like this. It would be really uninteresting, and it would cover up, again, that main point in the sky. So then I thought to put it over here, and I thought, oh, is that gonna work though? Because it's still fairly dark over here. We're gonna have all of our brightness over here. So what I did, because you also want to kind of focus on patterns. And well, I know I always tell you not to do patterns, but I don't mean patterns, I mean repeating elements. So here, the repeating elements we have in the sky are obviously, you know, we've got the colors, and each side of this is the same color. We've got the little speckled stars, and it just works really well together. So my repeating elements are, first of all, the colors. The colors in the tree are pretty close to the colors in the ground. I did add some white, but overall it's, you know, the same tone of color. So that's my repeating element. Another repeating element I have is the texture in the leaves and in the grass. So if my grass were very fine and soft, and it could work, but it might also look kind of disconnected. So repeating elements, and mine was colors and texture. I was talking about repeating elements for a reason. Oh, then I took an element out of his painting and repeated it in mine. And I would ask you guys if you knew what it was and then wait for you to respond, but there's this huge lag, and I don't want to sit here just staring at the computer forever, waiting for you guys to respond. So the shape of his composition here that swoops up that way, I wanted to repeat that shape as well. So I repeated it in the ground. My light in the ground pretty much follows the same path. It's a little bit different, but if I had this light going that direction, your eye would start at one end of the light and be like, done. There's nothing else to see because we shot them off the canvas. Here though, they come down, they get trapped by the tree. They look at the tree. That takes them down into the shadow, and then the light, the way the light moves over. This area, Mr. Moon just woke up. This area is quite dark, which is a nice contrast to this. Then you get drawn back up into the stars, our little shooting star, and it kind of all cycles through again. So, Mr. Moon, if you want attention, you come get attention. Don't meow at me from across the room. He always does that. He's such a cat. You want to try and find a way to trap the viewer in your painting, okay? But not in an awkward trap like the triangle that I talked about. That would feel like being in a prison cell, this little tiny triangular prison cell. You want it to be fun and interesting for the viewer to be trapped there. If my tree didn't go off the edge here, that wouldn't be fun and interesting. It would feel squished, it would feel confined. I might as well paint it over here and get that triangle going. It would feel cramped like that. But because it goes off, it feels very free. So that's another reason that my light mirrors this, not only because it's a repeating element, but because shooting the light off that direction would just give the viewer an entry and exit point. And once they've exited, they're done. I hope that wasn't too long-winded and convoluted. I know, I can talk, man. Once I get talking about something that interests me, I'm just like, for a year and a half. So I'm gonna go back over, because you guys probably all have questions that I just yammered over. No mouse? Oh, you guys couldn't see me. Never mind, I'm behind. And then Mr. Moon started yowling. You also took color from his background into your painting. Not really. Well, I guess some of the yellow area toward the bottom of the starry area is similar to the unbleached titanium that I put in the tree. So I guess I can see that. Get in my painting, Nelson says. Cats are absolutely divas. Mr. Moon is the biggest diva. Deb likes to guess what song Mr. Moon is singing. Street Cat Strut. Good. I had at least one person say that they thrive on my talks. So that's all the permission I need to just yammer at you again forever and ever and ever. Oh yeah, he did have yellow, and I did use yellow. So yeah, I would like to know if that was helpful to you guys. Please let me know. Bonnie said that was really interesting. Donna liked it. So yeah, because I need more permission to talk ad nauseum. I'm really good at that. It's weird that I don't talk like that, you know, just go off on these wild tangents in my videos, isn't it? But I just don't. But get me in front of people and I'm like, okay, good. So just kind of think about things like that. I will sometimes start a painting with no idea of what I'm going to do, but usually it's just a way to kind of get something started, you know, to kind of start spinning the wheels. And then that usually ends up getting scrapped, but I'll take ideas from it onto something else. But another thing I always do is I think, so like when I was doing this one, I think about it and I'll say, okay, I know I want a tree because that's what I got. It's what I like to paint. And I felt like it needed a tree. So then I'll stop and I'll think about it and I'm like, okay, where does the tree work the best? Before I ever paint anything, you know, I don't just start, I want a tree on here. Okay, paint a tree on here. By the time I put the tree on the canvas, whether I'm practicing it or I'm filming it for you, I know where that tree is going because I've thought through my composition. You know, I may just do something sporadic on the background because the background can be adjusted, painted over, all of those things. But when it comes to the main elements, I have to stop and think about it. Where is that going to be the most interesting? Is it going to feel out of balance if I do this with this? And I really work that out in my head. before it goes onto even a practice canvas. So I want you guys to do that. And you may feel really unsure. I don't know if I'm doing it right. I'm doing what feels the best to me. I'm comfortable with my tree on this side. So that's where I'm putting it. Some like big art professor would probably be like, your composition is all wrong and here's why. But that's where it feels natural to me. So that's what I'm doing. And you guys have the same permission. You know, don't second guess yourself when you make a decision on your composition. As for me anyway, this, and everybody's different, but for me anyway, I find that the more I paint and the more I look at art, even like shots in a movie, you know, like the way they framed it, the more of a grasp I get of composition intuitively. So I, a lot of times, have to spend less time on composition because I just know, oh, there's no way you want to put that over here because it's just going to block everything. It's going to make it off balance, whatever. You know, a lot of it will start to come intuitively to you. But don't stress out about it. Don't, you know, beat yourself up over it or whatever. Just learn and let it happen as it happens. Don't create a Bermuda Triangle in your painting. You can create a Bermuda Triangle in your painting if you like, but it has to specifically be the Bermuda Triangle. Good. I'm glad that was helpful. And I have yammered at you guys so much. So we'll hang out for a minute more. If you guys have more questions, shoot them at me. Be aware that I quite possibly could go off on another tangent. I'm always good for one of those. But if you guys don't have any other questions in a couple of minutes, then we'll probably just call it a day. In the meantime, I'm gonna eat a snack, but I'm gonna mute you so you don't have to listen to me eating a snack. And my snack is I thought I did unmute myself. Okay. There was another. Do I ever use a mop brush? No. I've never used a mop brush before. Gwen asked if I will set aside a day for watercolors. Maybe. You guys are really kind of my guinea pigs right now, and you know, we'll just kind of do the live things like we did on the first as I have the availability to, and I'm hoping to start out, I hope we'll do them at least once a month, and then, you know, twice a month, and if we can get on a weekly schedule, that'll be great. If I get to the point where I'm on a weekly schedule, they'll go public. But yeah, as of right now, I hate to commit to it because I don't think that I can commit to that right this minute. Nelson said there's actually YouTube channels dedicated to watching people eat. I did not need to know about the underbelly of YouTube, Nelson. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm getting to all this. You're muted, you're muted. Okay. So, yeah. Nelson, I'm really disturbed that I didn't talk to you for like 3 hours. It was like 15 seconds. I'm really disturbed by your revelation of that. Right, Cindy? How does he know that there's YouTube channels for that? That's creepy. Oh, Nisa's gonna go have supper. Have a good time. I'm hungry too. I need to have some dinner. Good thing I don't have to cook tonight. Oh, we made, we eat sweet potatoes instead of regular potatoes. And there were these sweet potatoes that we were buying, and they had like the purple skin, but then on the inside they're white. And they're super good, and we made mashed potatoes with them, and they were great. So we go to the store the other day, and I'm like, oh look, they have those purple potatoes again, thinking they're the ones that are white inside. So I buy a bunch of them. No, they're that color. My mashed potatoes were that color. That kind of put me off. And then they just tasted weird, so we didn't finish eating them. But yeah, it was really weird. And then I took a picture of it and I posted it on my Facebook page, and I accidentally posted it publicly, because I don't post everything publicly on my Facebook page, but I posted it publicly accidentally, and I'm like, well, now the world knows that I cook really bizarre things. So if you want to see my bizarre purple mashed potatoes, go look at my personal Facebook page. They're gross. They did not get eaten. So, oh, welcome back, Zainab. Gwen saw them. They looked about like they tasted, but they didn't taste purple, strangely. Nelson started the the eating YouTube channel. I'm gonna go find you, Nelson. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys go. And I absolutely love these viewing parties, you guys. I can't even tell you how much you help me by coming to these and asking your questions. So please continue to do so. Never be afraid to ask a question. There are no dumb questions, you know. And the amount of information that I get out of your question is invaluable. So please continue to come. And I like the idea to talk about the composition process in each video. So we will probably do that a little bit more. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning with your volcano painting. And I hope you all have a wonderful night that does not involve purple mashed potatoes.